Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Coding on Swiboe, the next generation text editor. I have no top of the show business today, and I also have no real clue what we are going to be working on now. So yesterday I proposed three things we could work on. We could work on a higher level Python API, something that is harder to misuse than the pure C API wrapper that we have right now. The second thing I proposed is working on implementing the RFC for the RPC system. And the last thing I proposed is changing the buffer plugin to actually support editing of buffers. And I said that I didn't want to work on the Python client really because the client will still change, the low-level API will still change while the RFC is not yet implemented. So we should work on the RFC first, but the RFC is rather tricky, and there's a lot of poking around in deep code where I don't really know how to go about it. So um, I also don't feel comfortable doing that on stream because it will be mostly me looking at error messages. So I suggest that we actually dig into the buffer plugin for a little bit. Also, I consider stopping streaming at the end of the week. Um, I think that the stream is doing good for Swiboe, but it also slows down development. I am like at least twice as fast if I'm not streaming while coding, and I can add more features more quickly um, that way. I think that a bunch of people are actually following along on YouTube, but I get very little feedback about that, so I have a hard time judging how useful the stream is. And I believe if I like focus on adding features to Swiboe, Swiboe will evolve much quicker. Okay, but oh yeah, and next week there will be no stream. Like even if I continue streaming after next week, there will not be any stream next week because I'm traveling again. Okay, so what are we actually looking at right now? So um, I merged the client, and now we're back to actually running the server and then bringing up the GUI. And just a reminder, what can the GUI do so far? With Control T, you can, um, at least I thought you could, but apparently you cannot. You can bring up the fuzzy matcher, but for some reason that is no longer working. So let's start figuring out why this is not working. Well, I mean, the fuzzy matcher comes up, it just doesn't display anything. And how? Why is that? That's probably, where's our Lua file? We have our config.lua file. Is that in here, fuzzy matcher? No, then it is in the term GUI still. It is still hard-coded, which is of course also not desirable and will change eventually. So what does it do? If I press Control T, it brings up the completer widget, and the completer widget, it calls client call list rust files. Oh, I remember. It calls list rust files, which does not exist, right? There was an example RPC that we implemented in Python that would filter out everything that is not a Rust file. So actually here we have to call the function that the fuzzy plugin is actually creating. Hello, Vim, get it together. Oh. Oh, there we go. How is that called? Plugin list files. And the RPC is called list files. That was simple. Okay, let's rerun. Actually, I should probably not run the release binary because that is slow. Yes, that works again. So term GUI.rust. So that's how far we got, right? We can scroll through the file rather poorly, but it kind of works. And the scrolling was also clunky. So for example, if I move to the right and now I'm at the end of the line, and if I press 5 times right again, I have to press 5 times left again before the cursor moves again. So it is rather clunky, but what we, for example, do not support at all is editing. And that is actually what I want to look at a little bit for today. At least getting grasp on how we want to start about it. So we definitely want to edit the plugin buffer. So, and what do we have here? So this looks rather neat, right? We have the buffer need, buffer new, delete, the get content operation, the buffer open, and the buffer list operations. And I like how they are registered. That reads pretty neat. What I don't like so much, but I don't know how to avoid it, is that the buffers themselves, so we have a buffers manager object that we create here, and the buffers themselves, they must be like behind the read write log, and they have to be inside of an arc, right? They are shared owned, and that is something I really don't like, because they are not shared owned, right? They belong to the to this plugin, and as long as this plugin is alive, this object is alive. So I would really prefer if I could just create um, all those implementation of RPCs, and just like give them a reference, or like a reference to this read write log, because the read write log we need, right? Because changes to the buffer should always happen sequentially to any buffer. That just makes thinking about the multi-threading story here much easier, and it's also easier for stuff like undo and redo and so on. Of course, we could argue that that like everything like two buffers can be edited in parallel, but yeah, I think that's fine. There won't be as many edits. Um, right. Okay, and now we want a new RPC. Oh, we actually also want a new branch. We call that edit actions. Why not? So we definitely want a new RPC. And the idea behind this RPC is that you should give it something like an edit action. So maybe let's start with that. What is an edit action? So an edit action is one of the following. It is either a deletion, it is a addition, or it is a change. What does that mean? So a deletion is, for example, deleting a word. So bloop, I just deleted the word delete in this particular line. A add is of course adding something, so I just added a character A at the end of this line. And a change is just this, right? The edit action was that I like changed a couple of characters to a couple of other characters. And actually you could argue that a change is nothing else but a delete action and then a addition. But actually I believe there are semantic differences between a delete and an add and a change. For example, when it comes to marks. So let's add a mark here. What is a mark? A mark is a position in the buffer where you can jump to very quickly. And this underscore now symbolizes our mark. And if I say, well, I delete the full word, I also deleted the mark, right? Because it was somehow in between this word and now it's gone. And if I like add a couple of letters before, the mark moves. And if I add it behind, then the mark does not move. So what happens though if I change? So when I now change those characters, what will happen to the mark? Will it get deleted? Will it stay in the middle? Will it stay after the second two characters? And I don't have an answer for that, but I feel there is a semantic difference between just deleting and then adding that back. Right. And because it's the simplest, we will just start out with only having add. Um, And what will add need? They will need some sort of structure, and that is add information, something like this. And it will be something like a U64 buffer revision. That is the buffer revision before the add is done. Right? That is essentially, if you want to add something, you have to say before, yes, I know the buffer is at this current revision, and please now add something to this line and this context. And then Swiboe will either say, yes, the buffer is at this revision and your edit went through, or Swiboe will say, no, the buffer is not at this revision, it has changed in the meantime since you sent your edit action. Please retry again. And then you have to update the information that you have about your buffer and repeat your edit action. Ooh, sorry. And then it will actually be like the text to add, right? Yeah, something like this. The text to add, and then of course we need a like position. Do we already have something like this? A position somewhere? I feel like we already had something like that. Was that in the view? Buffer views, maybe? Here, we already have that. A struct position. So let's pull this one out. Where should that go though? I think that's part of Swiboe actually, so it should probably go into Swiboe like lib source, and then here something like, well, I don't really know. Or actually you could argue it is only a thing of a buffer, so it should probably live in the buffer plugin. Yeah, I like that better. Let's put it there. So let's put the position here. And then this one actually has to use, it should already use something from the buffer plugin, right? Use Swiboe plugin buffer and then position. That is plugin buffer position. And you know what? We just say use Swiboe plugin buffer, self and position. Okay, so this also takes a position start. So this is the text to add to starting at start. This text should not contain line breaks. So each line change needs a separate addition action. I'm not sure if I can actually hold that up, because I don't know how we can then like symbolize that you need to delete a full line. Maybe actually we have to transparently deal with multi-lines, but I don't know. For now, I don't feel comfortable dealing with that, so I just say, well, we only have single line changes. Okay, and then let's implement a RPC. Probably the get content one is the best one to look at. And it's of course not called get content, it is called edit. And the edit request is actually, well, the buffer index for sure, but then also probably exactly what we need in this edit actions, right? Those add informations for now. And I think it's probably perfectly fine to just say, well, this is serializable. And I messed something up. I just wanted this one line. It is not comparable though, I don't think. And I don't think it needs to be copyable for now. Maybe it needs to be later. And then position is already. So edit actually, it takes a buffer index, and for now it just takes a singular edit action. And now I already realized that something is wrong because action. No, this is an edit action. This is actually called an edit action kind, and then we also need a separate edit action function and a struct edit action struct, and this edit action struct is actually, right, this is what has the buffer revision. And then we have here like to do take a list of edit actions instead, but for now we only take a single one, and that is a edit action kind action. Yes, and that's precisely what we want, right? Edit request is this. Edit response is it's probably empty, right? It either works or it doesn't. So it looks like this. And then we have a edit request, and then we build a edit response, and then we call finish, right? Actually, we need to implement this. This is the wrong way. It has to look like this. Okay, so actually we need all of this. Partial equation, clone, copy, and here too, and here too. Text does not implement copy, really? Indeed, text does not implement copy. So then it has to be only clone, and then we'll see how far we get with that. So add is not implement, add information is not, so this cannot be copy, and then this cannot be copy either. Okay, and now we have to add a couple of pups. This is pup, this is pup, this is pup. Okay, and of course we have to register list is, this is now added, right? Beautiful. So we added a new RPC in Rustland, and now we actually also want to have a test for that, right? A end-to-end test. And so we actually want to have, let's start with this test. So we actually want to have buffer edit add, right? That is what we want to try out. So we have a client, we connect to it, that's fine. And then we create a buffer that has some content, exactly 3 lines, blub blub blee. And then we ignore all of this. And is create buffer actually returning something? Nope. So we just assume it is buffer index 0. We do that down here too. And now we call buffer edit. And what sort of edit are we actually doing? Edit request. The buffer index is 0. Yes, precisely. And then we have a plugin buffer edit action. And this on the other side is, how's it looking? It has something to do with the buffer, like plugin revision. No, not plugin revision, but buffer revision. That should be 0, right? The buffer is like just created, never has been edited. And then we have an edit action, and the action is edit action kind a add. And here we have a plugin buffer add information. And I got lost already. You know what? Let's pull out this edit action. Maybe it gets a little less unreadable. So we have an edit action that has a buffer revision of 0, and then it has the action, and the action kind is edit action kind add, and we have an add information here, and that should be it. Now for the add information, the text is actually, of course, what else should it be? Hello world into. So a hello world string, and the start is a buffer plugin position, and the position, what is that? Line index, column index. So it's line index 0 and column index 0. So let's kill this server. We don't need that for now. Let's see if it builds. Of course, like this test actually is just calling code. It is not really it's not actually doing anything with this code yet, right? So we actually need to have something like let's do it just like this, right? We basically, all we do is we call this RPC, and then nocon check that the result of the RPC and the content of the buffer changed as expected. Wow. Wow. A lot of errors. So, 15. These are not needed. That's new. They used to be needed. And then it says buffer plugin, buffer plugin. Oh, it's not called buffer plugin, it's called plugin buffer. Plugin buffer. Okay. Then it says edit action kind is unknown. That's also true because it is plugin buffer edit action kind. And I think we get in there. Plugin buffer get edit request does not name a. Oh, it's just edit request, of course. And now we have unresolved name RPC. What? $92. Ugh. I mixed it all up. Okay, so this actually goes down here. Then we have to revert a couple of the buffer again. So git diff. Here, this function, where is it? Where's my function? How's it called? Actually, this goes over here, and this just goes away. And then this goes here, and this goes away. Perfect, right? We only want to edit the function. I actually didn't want to change the function that was already there. Field buffer revision of struct Swiboe plugin is that seems wrong. This has to be pub, and this has to be pub as well. And same here, all of this is public information. Hooray! The test that doesn't do anything is passing. Well, I mean, it does something, right? It doesn't do anything useful, but it does something. And I think I'll cut the stream here for now. So all we did today is we decided that we wanted to work on the buffer plugin, and we also decided on, like, we put all the boilerplate into to actually get started on that, and we have to iterate on the design a little bit to really get it right. And with that, I'm about to close today's stream. If there are any questions, just post them in chat as usual. And I will talk to you tomorrow once more, and then next week there is no stream. And I'm not sure if I will pick up streaming again after that, because as said, I believe I can make faster progress on Swiboe if I just like sit down and code during the time where I usually do the stream. Yeah, I would be interested in knowing what you think about that. So just feel free to reach out to me as usually through Twitter, through mail, through GitHub, through our Gitter room, whatever floats your boat. Just like get in touch with me. Okay. Thank you very much for watching, and I talk to you tomorrow. Bye.